What's up, you beautiful chuds, and welcome to the Let's Talk Horror channel podcast, and welcome to the Creep Zone, where we have very honest, unrated, unfiltered conversations about something from the world of horror. This episode I am really excited about, not only because I have a guest with me that is a friend of mine, a friend of the show. I mean, if you're watching this or when you're listening to it, when I introduce my guest, you will know who it is because they have been on the show so many times, and I love having a conversation with them. And this film is definitely one that we cannot wait to talk about. I will be very upfront with you that this is going to be one of those episodes that is a love letter to the movie that we are talking about. If you don't like this movie, or you don't like people gushing about movies and how good they are, then don't fucking listen to this episode, because that's what it's going to be. Because this episode is all about... you get the fuck out of it. Don't, though. I'm joking. Don't get out of it, because you're going to bloody love this episode if you love the masterpiece that is Ty West's The House of the Devil. This is a movie that I absolutely love. It's a movie that my guest loves as well. But also, for those people that don't just want me to talk how much I love it, there is one big thing with this movie that I don't like. And that's what I'm looking forward to talking about as well, because I have no idea if I haven't spoken to Anastasia about it whatsoever. But I've let the cat out of the bag now. Well, unless you're watching it, then you already know. But on this episode, my guest is friend of mine, friend of the show, Anastasia, with her zillion podcasts, Horror versus Reality, Attack of the Killer Objects, and...
What in the wide world
of cinema? In the wide world of cinema? There, I got it. Before you finish saying it, I did it. There we go. This is what happens. You have so many podcasts, and then I can only think of one because I'm so dumb. But of course, Anastasia.
To your credit, I made the names of my podcast unnecessarily long, especially the one you never remember.
Yeah, it is always that one that I never forget, never remember. But at some point I will. But I'll get it tattooed on me, and then every time you're on the show, I can just look at my arm, and then I can go, yeah, there we go. That's what it is. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But of course, you will already be listening to the shows. But Anastasia, as usual, like all my guests, is going to promote the absolute shit out of it at the end, because we're going to get into talking about House of the Devil, which I honestly... I need this right now to talk about this fucking movie. So it's a movie that was released in 2009. Now, we haven't even got into it, but I want to talk about that a little bit, because this movie was released in 2009, but it was also released the same year as another Ty West movie that I didn't see and didn't really know that it was him that made it until like quite a while later. But he did Cabin Fever 2, Spring Break, and I didn't know, of course. I mean, look, we're going to go into it all, but Ty West, I mean, for me, like, so this is the movie that made Ty West, right? Like, this is the movie that set him on his trajectory. It wasn't Cabin Fever, Spring Break, Cabin Fever 2, Spring Break. But it's weird that, like, the difference between those movies are so polar opposite to what these two movies are. It's wild to me that they came out the same year. Like, I wouldn't have thought when you watch this movie that Ty West had made Cabin Fever 2 when you're watching them, if you would have watched them together like the same year. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. But there's like such good reasons for that. Like, for instance, Ty only had so much creative control over the like Cabin Fever sequel. But he literally had the idea for House of the Devil back in like 2001, somewhere around there, but didn't have all the funding for it until 2009, essentially.
Yeah, and, you know, obviously I know which one I'm going to go with. Although, if people out there, one, you might have not even known that, but two, if you've never seen Cabin Fever 2, Spring Break. Is it called Spring Break or Spring Fever? Something like that. I can't fucking remember. Maybe it's
Cabin Fever.
Something like that. I can't remember.
I think it's Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever 2 something. Ty West. Go and watch it. If you haven't, it's actually watchable. It's not too bad, but it is not House of the Devil, and that's what we're going to get into. But yeah, so it's released in 2009, directed, as we've already gushed about, Ty West. We have been on many podcasts before talking about Ty West. You know, like even when we're not doing a Ty West movie, we end up talking about Ty West or Kurt Russell's beautiful beard.
Always the beautiful beard.
Always his beautiful beard. And stay tuned because something's going to be happening, so stick around. But I'm not saying anything more than that because we've only just decided about it. But Kurt Russell, beautiful beard, Ty West, we always end up talking about him. But I will go on record to say that Ty West is, in regards to inspirational filmmakers that are working today, is one of my own personal big inspirations, because I love the technical journey that we get taken on in every different movie that he's making, because the variety of his movies on a technical level of what we've seen come from him, bearing in mind, you know, you go from House of the Devil to Innkeepers, the technical aesthetical look of these movies are so vastly different, and I love that we get that with Ty West. But once again, we can always go into that. The film is starring... You're going to have to help me out here because we know that I'm thick as shit with names. This film is starring Jocelyn Donahue. I can't say that. Is it Jocelyn?
Jocelyn Donahue.
There we go. Thank you. Tom Noonan, the late and unfortunately, the unfortunately late as of recently, Tom Noonan. But I would... There's
Going out for Tom Noonan, everybody.
That's it. And you know what? There's going to be a big bit of me talking about him in this episode about him. We got AJ Bowen, obviously, who does work with Ty West and within that sort of group quite often as well. Mary, I'm going to get this one. Warrenov.
I think that's
about
right.
right.
I think that's right.
We'll say that's right.
So.
Obviously, the legend Dee Wallace. She's in this for like what, 5 minutes, if that.
Maybe.
That's it. And then big time Hollywood lady Greta Gerwig. She's in this as well.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about as well. This film on IMDb sits at 6.3 out of 10 and 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. So as I always say, if you are somebody that lives your life by Rotten Tomatoes, which you shouldn't, but if you do, 86% is telling you that this film is one for you. Unless you don't like horror, then it's fucking not. Google synopsis wise, desperate to make some money so she can move into a new apartment, college student Samantha Hughes, played by Jocelyn Donahue. That's Jocelyn. Oh, I fucking don't know. Takes a mysterious babysitting job. That's all it tells you. You don't get any more than that. That could
That's all you need.
Yeah, that could be like Adventures in Babysitting. I don't know. Like that's not like, doesn't necessarily set up a horror movie, but oh well, it doesn't tell you too much. So as I always love to ask my guests, do you remember? It doesn't matter if you don't, but do you remember when you first watched The House of the Devil?
I absolutely do.
Tell me.
It was 2012. I joined the online community on Reddit, the r/Reddit Horror Club.
Nice.
And that was one of our picks for the week, and that was the first time I watched it.
And was it like an instant I love this movie, or was it like I got to watch this a few times to learn to love it?
No, I loved it from the first watch. I thought, man, that chick Jocelyn Donahue, she's great. She really is able to hold the movie as like the primary. I mean, it's just her for a good chunk,
Yeah.
And man, you know what I really like about her features? She reminds me a lot of...
Oh, you're going to do it. You're going to say it. You're going to say exactly, I feel it. I'm going to let you do it, but you're going to say exactly what I was going to say. I know you are. Go on.
I don't know that we're on the I don't know that I'm going to say the same thing that you're going to say. We don't know that.
Do it.
Hold on. I have to remember her name, but from Black Christmas.
Margot Kidder.
Yes, Margot Kidder. Were you going to say Margot Kidder too?
Yeah.
Because other people I've heard like compare her to the chick from Suspiria.
Yeah, see, what I think is that part of me almost thinks that one of the reasons she might have got cast in this is because of her likeness of Margot Kidder, because of Black Christmas.
That's what I was thinking, but I found no evidence of that, and I did a bunch of research.
Well, guess what? We've got the fucking evidence here because we both said it, and that's all that
That's
matters.
fair. We were like
That's called
linked at the
evidence,
mind
isn't
there.
it? I think that
Um,
holds up in a court of law.
you know what? You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, and it also goes to show that we're on the same wavelength of absolute legends.
We are. We were both thinking it.
That's it. But there we go. Obviously, we're going to get into the movie, but I really want to talk about really quickly. I'm going to try and make it as quick as I can because obviously I always try and talk about how I first saw the movie as well. And this is one of the memories for me that always stands out. I'm going to go through it really quickly because it's not the quickest story, but I will. So me and a friend of mine, shout out to one of my best buddies, Steve, if you're listening or watching to this, I love you. We are good friends, and we love movies and we love horror, but we love movies. And we used to work at a cinema together, and we were both in the camp of we were when we were kids we would buy VHS, we would buy DVDs, Blu-rays, big physical media collectors, as you can see behind me. And he was the same. We loved movies, and we were like those sort of people where we didn't even have to like see or know about a movie. We would just buy it, and then we'd be like, "That's good, that's shit," and that's what it was. So
Yeah.
I remember like I was on a lunch break, and I went over to like the supermarket. So in the UK, I don't know if it's the same now, but in the UK, like movies they got released on a Monday. So every Monday I would go on my break to a supermarket that used to sell like DVDs and Blu-rays and all that, and they would have like the new releases. And I went over there, and then I saw this, which is
Nice.
the cover of House of the Devil. Now I saw that, and then being the big fan of horror that I have been my whole life, I was like, "What the fuck is this? I don't even know about this movie." So I went back to work. I looked up on it a little bit. I watched the trailer, and me and my friend Steve, we both watched the trailer. And on the day that it came out, we both brought this Blu-ray. And when we got it back, the thing that made us laugh is when we started looking into it because we didn't really know about it. One, and we'll talk about this as well, or I will talk about it, is that one, we genuinely thought this was a lost gem that we hadn't seen before that had got a re-release because we thought after watching the trailer, it was a movie from like that was made in like the 70s and 80s and we had never seen it before. Which is what we're talking about, and that's one of the big parts of what this movie and how incredible this movie is. But also, this movie came from a director we had never heard about, which is Ty West. And what's brilliant about this is that on the back of this Blu-ray, the first sentence that you read is "Master of Horror, Ty West." so this guy, he made from House of the Devil. He was already the master of horror. And it makes me laugh every time. But from that point onwards, whenever me and my friend Steve, love you, Steve, every time we mention Ty West, it's always, the master of horror, Ty West. Master of horror, Ty West. So every time we talk about it, it's always, the master of horror, Ty West. So, Absolutely. That always makes me laugh. So this Blu-ray is like more than just a Blu-ray. It's the fact that it says master of horror, Ty West, and it makes me laugh every time I look at it because, as you know, this to me, obviously, and it sort of was his first movie, or it's the movie that made Ty West, which we will talk all about. But it was a nice little story about the how I got started on my journey with House of the Devil. But we're going to go into it because in these episodes, I like to give you my full run through of the movie. When I sat there and I watched it, I write down essentially sort of every scene, everything that sort of happens, and we go through it. But as we're going through it, Anastasia is going to tell me to shut the fuck up because she's going to have things that she wants to talk about within those scenes, as do I. So at any point, Anastasia, if you're like, oh, actually, I want to talk more about this bit, just talk and talk over me. I don't give a fuck. I will shut the fuck up because I need to. And we can just talk about it. So the film has the opening title card. Shut the fuck up. That's what you can say, yeah. But the opening title card, it basically states, it says, during the 1980s, over 70% of American adults believed in the existence of abusive satanic cults. Another 30% rationalized the lack of evidence due to the government cover-ups. The following is based on a true unexplained event. Now, apparently, that was just made up and it's all bollocks for the movie.
Yes, 100%. It's all bullshit. The statistics, everything.
Absolutely, just bollocks. But then we are introduced. Basically, there's a woman is looking out of a window with a beautifully haunting score over the top. Now, I will talk about the score a little bit later on because it's fucking phenomenal in this. And then, oh shit, it's Dee Wallace. Straight away, we see a woman at the window. It's not Dee Wallace, but Dee Wallace fucking walks in. And then straight away, when I watched it the first time, I was like, fucking hell, Dee Wallace is in this as well. This is gonna be like the greatest film ever. But then, sadly, she's not much. She's not in it much. But the young woman that was, but she's in it, and that's it. That's all that matters. But then the young woman that was looking out the window, she's looking for a place to live, and Dee Wallace, she does her an absolute solid, and the place that she's looking at is hers. And then cue the rock and roll John Carpenter-esque style music and crazy zoom-ins. I mean, get used to all the fucking crazy zoom-ins, but you get that awesome like cutting of her, with this great fucking synth sort of rock guitar score. You know what I mean? It feels very like John Carpenter-esque. It does to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But then Samantha, who is our leading lady, she heads back to her dorm room, and people are having a very loud, disruptive game of sex. So she's trying to get go on. Tell me, go on.
Okay, this scene, I have got to say, I think I know that 37-year-old me would do this, but I like to think that, like, however old Samantha is, 20-year-old Samantha, I like to think I would do that too at that age. But if my roommate, the one fucking room we have, she's not got the sock on the door and I need to get in there and go about my day, it's like 10 a.m. I'm busting up in there. Hide yourselves under the blanket. I'm sorry.
You're busting up in there. He's busting up in there. Everybody's busting. But at least you get your stuff ready for school.
Yeah. I'm not just going to walk away because she's still grunting and groaning. No, I'm coming in. Sorry.
That's it. Exactly. But so she's pissed off. But as you say, she walks away. She doesn't go in. But then she sees an ad. And this is obviously, the real star of the movie, because she sees an ad on like this bulletin board, whatever it is, saying babysitter needed. Samantha, she calls the number and then she leaves a message. But as soon as she hangs up, the phone rings mysteriously. Obviously, it's always creepy. But then rather than ignoring it, Samantha answers it, which begins to lead her on this dark journey she has no idea about. But obviously we know that the journey's going to go from here, and of course it's going to get all fucked up. But what's great about this, and what's great about the fact that we don't know who Ty West is, we don't know the type of journey that we're going to be taking on yet, and that's what makes this movie so fucking great. So she agrees to meet this person that she speaks to on the phone. But guess what? This creepy son of a bitch that called her and said he was going to meet, the son of a bitch doesn't even fucking turn up, and she's sitting on the step all alone.
Fucking Tom Noonan.
Yeah, you creepy son of a bitch. So after getting stood up, Samantha is eating a giant slice of pizza with big time Hollywood lady Greta Gerwig. If you don't know what I mean by big time Hollywood lady, of course she went on to make a little known movie known as Barbie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then loads of other movies that I don't know about, but
let me fill you in on
let me get educated.
20-something Anna cinephile who, after watching this film, I believe it was this one. No, you know what? It might have been something earlier than that, actually, because it was because of where I was living. All right, during a depression period, after college, but before the Reddit horror, I definitely went through her entire catalog up until that point. I watched a lot of mumblecore. Now, audience, for those of you who don't know what mumblecore
and me, because I forget every time you say mumblecore, and I'm like, I've forgotten what the fuck it is.
So mumblecore is just like really natural filmmaking. Sometimes there's no script. There's just like a skeleton layout of what kind of happens, and they just like film really low budget. And it's called mumblecore because sometimes there are just like mumbling like dialogues of, a lot of them, those movies have like nothing happening in them, kind of. And I don't know, there's something really natural and beautiful about them. But this is like a side movie to Mumblecore. This is Mumble Gore.
Oh, I like it.
G.
I'm going to change my middle name to Mumblegore.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Harry Potter thing, doesn't it? Mumblegore.
It does. It totally does, because it rhymes with Dumbledore.
Oh, yeah, that's why, yeah.
That's what it is, yeah.
But Greta Gerwig,
yeah. Yeah, so Mumblegore is basically just Mumblecore with blood, more or less, and scariness.
Fancy. Nice. Yeah. Well, I think I probably prefer the Mumblegore than the Mumblecore, maybe.
There's a lot of Mumblecore movies, and not all of them are good.
Well, I mean, if they're mumbling, I can understand why. But Greta Gerwig, she's there, and Samantha's there as well. But she's stressing about sort of how she's going to afford this new place that she's renting off the beautiful Dee Wallace. But Greta Gerwig, she does have a line as well, a great line here where she says that you don't. So this movie is very well written. So this movie is obviously directed, edited, and written by Ty West. And what I love about this movie is that, and this is why this movie continues to get better more and more you watch this. It might be different for you, but for me, like, it's one of those movies that gets better and you can pick up on things. And one of the things that you sort of always pick up more and more on is the writing and the script, because there are a lot of things before everything sort of like really happens. There is a lot of things that are written in that sort of like are like happen later on, or like things that are reference things that are going to happen that we don't know about. And this scene is one of them. This scene is one of them where she turns around and says, you don't even like kids anyways, the kid could be from hell. And of course, like at that point, we don't know about that because we've not seen the movie. But when you've seen the movie, then you're like, fuck, it all works. It all makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's by design. Ty West has famously gone on record saying that he likes to pepper lots of things in, and that he loves movies that you need to rewatch to really get the full love of and scope of.
Yeah, and that's what's mad about this movie, is that it is one of those movies that, like, as I said, like, I think there's so much repeat value with watching this movie, and I think there's a lot of reasons as to why it has repeat value, not just because of the things that you like pick up on every time you watch it, but also because of how it feels like something that's representing the time of what it's trying to replicate, which we'll get into as well, because I think that's so interesting about this movie as well. Samantha, she decides, she has a little cry on the toilet. Maybe everything is really sort of getting to her, and the fact that she's currently staying with the messiest fucking person, because it does mention that she's a bit of a germaphobe, I think. So living with the messiest
throwaway
person.
line that she
exactly.
She doesn't like messy, gross things.
No, and so she definitely doesn't like the person she's staying with, because this messy sort of like snotty woman, she looks like rubbing her face all the time, like she's got bogies dripping out of her nose all the time.
Well, she's also fucking at all hours, and sleeps until, all day long, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. But at least she can sort of take a note, and that's the good thing, because she takes a note for Samantha, which is a note
Actually,
it
would be way, way better if she had not gotten the message to her at all. I mean, we wouldn't have a movie.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So basically what it is that the only decent thing that this person did, because she's she fucking destroys her. Jesus Christ. So yeah, that's it. So if she just kept being a piece of shit, having sex constantly and being a mess, and didn't take a note and try being nice, this would have never have happened. So it's all her fault. Snotty lady, it's all her fault.
It's not all her fault. There's many different steps along the way.
No, it's all her fault. Snotty lady, snotty sex lady, it's her fault. It's all her fucking fault.
Worst roommate ever, though.
Worst roommate. But she does get this note that impending doom. But Samantha, she calls it back, and it's that creepy dude who at the end of the phone, who needs a babysitter. And he's the one that obviously stood up Samantha earlier on, but he offers her double the money to come babysit, as it's super important. And he also has another line to remember, as he says, "I'll make this as painless for you as possible," when he's talking to her about coming to stay over and stuff like that. Once again, hinting, as you say, with Ty West, that he loves to put those sort of things that hinting as to what's to come.
Foreshadowing.
Absolutely. Well, that's what I was trying to think of, that word, but I'm too fucking dumb to remember what that word is. So there we go. But as night falls, Greta Gerwig, she picks up some. Also, I keep forgetting her name, so the whole time through this, I keep calling her Greta Gerwig. But Greta Gerwig,
I think it's Megan.
Maybe, I don't know. I'll just call her Greta Gerwig. But she picks up Samantha. She picks up Samantha, and they head to this babysitter job down a dark, creepy road, chatting about the eclipse. Now, that's obviously a big part of the movie. Not only at this point, you start to feel a little bit worried at this point for Samantha, because obviously, for one, we know it's a horror movie. We know that things are going to go badly, horribly badly. We don't know how yet, but we know things are going to go badly. But as we know in horror movies, is that if you have to go from one place to another place, and in between that place is a dark, creepy road without lights, and you have to travel to get to a place that's in the middle of nowhere, you sort of know that things aren't going to go great. So at that point, I always remember sitting there going, well, now this isn't going to go great for her.
I mean, this is a pattern here. Like, this is a trope at this point.
Yeah, that's it. You're exactly right. It is a trope, it's thing. But also at this point, we're learning more about, a big part of what happens in this movie, or to the story, about the eclipse and how the eclipse is happening. But Greta Gerwig, she says that she does want to stay with Samantha, as something seems a little bit fishy, and Samantha agrees for now. So at that point, she's just like, that's fine, you can stay if you feel like, it's going to be that unsafe for me, we can stay.
Greta Gerwig more than doesn't trust this guy. She literally went around and pulled down all his numbers off of all the bulletin boards.
Yeah, that's it. And so she went around, did that, and she even said she was going to do it earlier on when they're having like the pizza, but then Samantha was like, don't do it, and then she does. And once again, is it now like we got to get Greta Gerwig is potentially to blame for everything that happens as well? Everybody's in on it. That's what everybody's in on it. I
mean, I don't think Greta is, for reasons.
No, I think she's probably more of a friend than a hindrance. But then they pull up to this big house, and of course, who opens the door? It's none other than the towering Tom Noonan. At that point, we only see it almost. This is almost like Addams Family Lurch-esque, like the way that you don't see him, but he's towering above them, and already he's a bit creepy because he turns around and says like, "Oh, you're beautiful" to both of them, or something, like, doesn't he? And
man, you know what? Like, Greta Gerwig's tall too.
Oh, is she tall?
She is. So that's just like a testament to how giant Tom Noonan was.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I mean, I'm going to talk about Tom Noonan very soon in this anyway, but it's so interesting him in this movie, of how towering and how intimidating he is at that moment when he opens the door. But then when we see him and we have the conversational pieces around him, he's almost far from that. And that I'll talk about that anyway, because I really do love Tom Noonan in this anyway. So they sit down with him, with Tom Noonan, as he explains as to why it's so important that he got a babysitter for tonight for the eclipse. But of course, there's more to it than that for sure. We know that fucking thing's going to go tits up. Also, even though, of course, there's more creepy factor to Tom Noonan, but there's also something a bit different. So this is what I wanted to say about Tom Noonan in this. So I've said this on the show before as well, but I have like a list on my phone, and it's got like my favorite performances of all time, or movies that like always stick out to me by being great or inspirational performances, right? And Tom Noonan, like, this is the guy that was in, of course, The Last Action Hero and Manhunter, RoboCop 2, possibly. I think it's 2
I
or
think it's
3,
2.
one of them.
I
I think
it's
it's 2. And so many more movies, but he's never what he is in this. And that's why I love Tom Noonan in this. And this is actually my favorite Tom Noonan performance. And this is why he's on my list, because even though he is playing somebody that there is this intimidation factor with him because he's so tall and he can be very imposing, there's something really vulnerable about him in this movie, like the way that he sort of is holding himself, because obviously he's an old sort of man in this with a cane sort of thing. The way that he's so softly spoken in this, he feels very different to what sort of Tom Noonan normally does in a lot of his other stuff, because of course he's a lot of the time he's hired to be the villain, he's hired to be certain type character, but in this he feels so different, and that's why he's on that list that I have, because I absolutely love him. He almost feels a bit like a granddad. You know what I mean? Like in this movie, like how there's something like very like I'm trying to think of the word, but there's something like very like you feel sorry for him. Like I feel sorry for him in this movie. Obviously, of course, we know that we're not gonna feel sorry for him, but in the moments when he's that desperation of him, like where he's trying to get the babysitter and, he really wants somebody to come and sit, so they can go and see this eclipse. I feel sort of sorry for him, but I know that won't last. But in those moments, I'm like, he's so nice and softly spoken that I'm like, oh, maybe you could be my granddad.
I don't know if that's just like your Tom Noonan bias, but I've never felt that way about this character.
Maybe it is then. Maybe it is. Yeah. I mean, obviously, that he's not going to be a good person, right? And that like this is all going to go horribly wrong for this, for Samantha.
Yeah.
But it's just the way that he plays it. I just have this sort of thing where I really feel for him, and I really feel sorry for him before all the other stuff starts coming out and all the other stuff, as we go through the movie. But yeah, obviously it's just me.
I just think he plays it so soft spoken that it's to that creepy old man register for me. Like the hairs on the back of my neck, this is not safe, He gives that kind of performance for me.
Yeah, see, that's funny that we're like the opposite, because like I'm like, like, can I come over and we'll have a cup of tea together? You'd be like the opposite.
I wonder if that's just the difference of that I'm a woman.
Possibly, yeah, maybe it is, yeah, like, yeah, but
of
course,
I have that innate like fear of creepy old men.
Creepy old men, yeah, you're right, yeah. Whereas I just push him down the stairs, and
well, there's that.
There is that. But yeah, I do. There's something about him. But yeah, for me, I mean, he's not in it. Like, I mean, he's in it a lot more than Dee Wallace, but he's not in it a lot. As you said, and as it is, this is really Samantha's, story. This is her journey. She's in it. This is hers. So you get the characters pop up in it. But I really, as I said, I love Tom Noonan, but I love him in this movie. In this role, as I said, it's definitely looked on different perspective from what you do, but I just love him in this. I just think he's so great at selling it.
I think he's great, but for like such a different reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's still great. He's still the great Tom Noonan, but for completely different reasons. Mm-hmm. But then he tells her that he hasn't been entirely honest with her. But still, at this point, I still feel a bit sorry for him. But basically, with her, basically, he basically tells her that it's not really that she's not really there to be a babysitter for a kid or anything. Basically, it's there to look after an old woman. And they need they need Samantha to do it, and basically they can't get anyone else. He says that he will double it to $300, but of course she comes back with $400. So she's like, look, I want to rinse this guy for as much money as I can if I'm going to stay here against, if he's lying to me, I want more money.
By the way, can I just say that's a lot of money in like 1980.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like that's crazy money. Like back then,
that's a probably suspicious amount of money for 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd be like, nope. I'm out.
He really loves a fucking eclipse. Like, he loves it. He fucking loves an eclipse. He does. But of course, you know, when Samantha tells Greta Gerwig this, she's not happy at all. But then straight as well, you know, pretty much straight away, as soon as she's, you know, she knows that she's getting that money, they walk out the house. Greta Gerwig, as I said, she's not happy with Samantha whatsoever. She tries to sort of calm down. She tries to reason with her a little bit, saying, "Look, it'll be fine. It's $400, as you're saying. It's so much money. It will really help her out, especially with the new place she's moving into." But then, you know, so Greta Gerwig, she sort of very reluctantly agrees.
Hang on a sec.
Go on.
Dude, I did the math. That was like an expensive an apartment, especially considering how little she said she had in her bank account. That'd be like a $1,200 apartment. That's bananas.
Crazy. That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, and it's like she's got to afford that. What's she going to do, baby? She's going to have to keep upping her rates every eclipse just to pay rent.
I mean, oh no, I'm not. No, spoilers.
That's it. We'll get into that anyway. But yeah, Greta Gerwig, obviously, she's very reluctant about this. She's not happy at all, but she understands the situation that Samantha's in. She needs the money. But then here,
no. Actually, hang on. Sorry.
Go on. No, go on.
Another thing here where Samantha could have saved herself. Greta Gerwig's parents are rich, and she says, "You can just borrow the money from my dad." And Samantha was like, "Nah, I don't want to do that." And I get where she's coming from, but when you have, let's say it's Wednesday night, I believe, she has until Monday to make all that money on 1980 US minimum wage, I assume. You're not going to come up with it. Just borrow it from her fucking dad, dude. What are you
doing?
Exactly.
There's a million different opportunities she seems to have to not be in this situation, but yet she's in this situation, and it gets an awful lot fucked up. But it gets really fucked up really soon, because we get one of the moments that I truly love in this movie, and I'm going to talk about why I love this moment in the movie. And it really, for me, the technical journey that we have on this movie, which once again I'll talk about later, that we get with Ty West, is one of the example pieces of this film. But this point that we'll get into in a minute. This moment really is the moment where it is Ty West as the modern day horror movie director that made me fall in love with him, because of this moment, and we get to it. So Greta Gerwig, she's not happy at all, but she gives in to Samantha. She drives away. So she drives out of this house. You know, she goes around the corner, but she decides to stop for a cigarette. As she's doing the thing for the cigarette, she opens the window, and as she opens the window, we get the first proper scare of the movie, because this guy with a beard, his hand comes straight into the window with a lighter. Scares the shit out of everyone when you're watching it, because you don't expect it, because it's not that type of movie, and that's what I'm going to talk about. But so then we get that first jump scare. The guy's offering a light, thing. They have a little bit of a conversation about it, thing, and of course he scares the shit out of her. But then, even worse for her, we get, as I said, a moment that really sets up, this movie from the point onwards, and really sets up Ty West, or my understanding of Ty West as a filmmaker, because AJ Bowen, who plays the guy that's the bearded guy, he turns around and he says to Greta Gerwig, "Oh, you're not the babysitter." And the second that she says no, almost before she gets a chance to say no, he pulls out a gun, shoots her in the face. Her face explodes, blood everywhere. And it comes out of absolute nowhere. And
yeah, you're really not expecting it at all.
No, and this is why this movie is so... I love this movie so much. But this moment is a moment I like, because... So this moment, all through this movie, we are watching a movie so far, and as I said, I'll talk about this more later, but we're watching a movie that is, it is referencing aesthetically the movies of the past, of the 80s to 70s. On a technical journey, we are very easily and very well made to believe that this movie was a movie, shot in at the past, you know, shot in a different time. It's so well executed technically. But this moment here is the moment that I love because it brings it into modern day horror. So you get like a movie that looks like this, but we get a modern day horror kill scene, if that makes sense, where we get like this impact that Ty West does so well, where we get this moment of pure impact where it happens instantly, where it's completely out the blue. The practical effects are great because her face is completely gone. There's blood everywhere. And it is the moment where I like one of the moments that I fell in love with this movie because it was a perfect blend of modern day horror in regards to like the kill side of it, but also the aesthetical side of like the technical journey that you're on with Ty West with this movie. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Good.
I would love a poster of like either a still frame of her head exploding in that moment,
Yeah.
or like maybe like a behind the scenes of her just covered in blood next to it or something. That'd be great. Love
Yeah,
that.
like they should have done something. But yeah, it's just that moment is wild because straight away you're like, fuck, like I didn't expect that because this is a slow burn movie. And then after this, you know, obviously things do what Ty West does best. And obviously we didn't really know Ty West at this point. We didn't know that he was going to be one of these directors that were about building tension throughout his movies until you know, you get to the fucked up endings and you're like, everything is happening. And of course we get that with this movie, but this was like his sort of introduction or our introduction to Ty West's filmmaking style and how he writes and movies and so on. But with this movie, not knowing that before, that moment is so impactful because you're like,
Oh
fuck,
yeah.
I've been watching a movie where like not that much has happened really, and straight away, rather than easing us into it, somebody's face is fucking blown off instantly, and you're like,
Yeah, like
fuck, like
if you were starting to fall asleep, wake up.
yeah, wake up. There's some brains all over everywhere, and it's just fucking insane. But back in the house, of course, Samantha knows nothing about this. Noonan gives Samantha a little bit of extra money for pizza, and I really love. I just love Tom Noonan in this so much. He's just so great. I like the fact that he gives her extra money for pizza because I love pizza. So I'll be like, thank you,
Well,
Tom
I
Noonan.
think we should point out that he also says, "Hey, I left, you know, the number for the pizza, one pizza place specifically on the fridge," and he, during this, when he's showing her around the house, mentions the pizza like 3 different times.
Yeah, and of course,
He's
like
heavy on
yourself.
the pizza.
Absolutely. And either one, he knows something about the pizza, or two, he fucking just loves it and he's just like, please get pizza because I want the leftovers. But he won't want these leftovers, especially when we get a little bit later on in the movie. But yeah, so Samantha now, she takes a seat. Tom Noonan's fucked off somewhere, and then there's a woman emerges. She enters the room, and she has a little good chat with Samantha. And I feel like she's like, although you might end up being the opposite to me, but I feel like she's the creepy counterpart to Tom Noonan.
Oh no, she is creepier than Tom Noonan,
Right, good.
100%. Because she plays it very cold and domineering, and she gets in Samantha's personal space and calls her a pretty young thing and touches her hair. No, she's out of pocket for sure.
Yeah, so she's definitely like creepy. Like if Tom Noonan had been more like her, then I would have been like, oh, like this is gonna get like really fucked up. But
See,
obviously it
he's
does. But
creepy, but it's such a different creepy.
yeah, like she's like, you know, classic movie creepy, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah, and he's like this subtle, like the old man at the park that's staring at little girls playing creepy.
Yeah, you're right actually, and yeah. But so, but then they bugger off quickly because of course you know they don't want to miss this bloody eclipse they keep banging on about. So now Samantha is alone, and of course what is she gonna do when she's alone? Well, of course she's gonna order that bloody pizza he wouldn't stop banging on about. So then she orders the pizza, and then of course I'm sure you did as well, but that voice on the phone sounds very familiar. Whoever it is that she's ordering the pizza from. Could it possibly be the person that killed Greta Gerwig and blew her face off earlier on? Because obviously she doesn't know about this, but we do, and he sounds
Hmm.
very familiar. Of course, yeah,
Hmm.
of course, it's gonna bloody be him. But it,
Yeah.
so from that point onwards as well, now like the worry that you have for Samantha is obviously constantly heightening because we know what has happened that she doesn't, and we know what sort of plan is getting put in motion that she doesn't. And then you start to like feel more concerned for your main character, obviously Samantha. You start to get more worried about her.
Well, okay, so at Tom Noonan at some point, when he breaks it to her, like, hey, you're gonna be watching my mother-in-law, not a kid, he does say, we have a kid, but he's an adult. This is their
Yes.
adult son.
Yeah, exactly right. And it once again, it's just all like there's a lot of really clever writing in this. Like Ty West is a good writer, but there in this movie as well, there's a lot of things that like are written really well, like strategically. It's like all put in motion really well. Like the
Yeah, yeah.
revelate. When things are revealed, and then it starts making you think. Like as you just said, they mentioned they have a son, but he's all grown up, and of course the son is the guy that kills Greta Gerwig and the guy on the phone, and it's just all really cleverly structured, really cleverly put together, something that Ty West, as we know, is so fucking good at. So then Samantha, she hears a noise upstairs and she goes to investigate it, but she gets distracted by some Where's Wally glasses. She puts on these fucking although over where you are, I think it's Waldo. But she puts on some
Waldo,
Waldo
yeah.
glasses. That's it. She puts on some fucking Waldo glasses, which makes her look fucking insane. So with pizza on the way, what better to do than be nosy and look around the entire house? This is where she does get a little bit nosy. Like I don't really know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not one of those people that I would get up and risk looking around the house. You might be different, but I wouldn't. So she's a little bit nosy in this respect. But oh well. And then of course, why not have like a classic 80s dance party to a great song by the Fox called the One Thing Leads to Another, which
By
now
the
after watching
Fix.
this, yeah, that's it. But and annoyingly, after watching this movie again, and every time I watch it, that song's in my head for at least like 3 months, and now I can't stop listening to it all the time. But it's a great song. Um, but then as she's dancing around, Tom Cruise style, proper 80s Tom Cruise dancing sort of thing, rather than the sliding on his socks. The clumsy sod, she knocks a bloody vase over. And as she's trying to tidy up the mess, Samantha finds a bag of random photos, and one of them being a family that is standing over a red Volvo. And then we get that little thing because you're like, hang on, red Volvo? Didn't they leave in a red Volvo? Wasn't there a red Volvo there? And then you're like, oh shit. More fucking fucked up things are happening because, of course, the old buggers that left earlier because they want their fucking eclipse party, whatever they're having. Yeah, they left in the Volvo. The Volvo was there earlier. It's not there. And then this is where Samantha starts to think like, oh shit, like there's some weird shit going on here. She tries to call Greta Gerwig, Gerwig, whatever. But no, there's no answer. She has like one of those like joke fucking things that would piss me right off when you're ringing up. Like when she's like, hello, and it's like, oh, I'm not there. And I'm like, oh, fuck off. I'm not ringing you again.
Hmm.
But she's not answering because she's got no face left, so that's why. So now
Yep.
Samantha, she can't even take a piss without some creepy noise going on. She goes to the toilet, but then there's some creepy noises. So now, deciding to go into the kitchen, she's now armed with a knife. She heads upstairs again to see where the noise came from. And as she heads outside of a door, we get another big reveal because she's standing outside the door, but we get to see what's inside of the door. And once again, it's one of the big reveals doing Ty West what Ty West does, because it's an absolute bloody satanic massacre where you've got the family from the photos, they're there, you've got the parents dead, you've got the kid in the middle of a fucking blood pentagram on the floor. Once again, it's wild because it's another moment where Samantha at this point doesn't know what the fuck is going on. Like, she knows there's weird shit happening, and she knows that, yeah, I probably should be there.
He's
But
like
we know
gutted like a fish too.
yeah, like we know that there's like some really bad things are happening. But once again, this is another thing that I love about this, because Ty West is so good at creating those impactful moments. Like we already saw where out of the blue, somebody's face gets blown off. Then like, you think that she, all she's doing is hearing some sort of creepy noises upstairs. And you think you might get the classic horror tropes of like shadows and stuff like that, But no, just in your face, through the other side of the door where she's standing. Everyone's dead. There's blood everywhere. Satan, panic, pentagrams, everything. And, you know, it's all in your face. And just Ty West is just so good at giving you those, like, immediate, impactful moments where you're like, oh, fuck, like, this is going to go horribly wrong. Horribly wrong. Now Samantha's no, she of course she knows nothing about this yet. And obviously, as I said, as a viewer, that we know really that it's going to go absolutely tits up. But the pizza's arrived. But as expected, as we said, it's the guy that killed Greta Gerwig from earlier. He's delivering the pizza, so maybe she shouldn't eat it. But of course, she does eat the pizza. We're like, you know, as a viewer, you're like, don't eat the pizza, don't eat it. But she's going to.
Well, she takes a bite of it and then immediately spits it out in disgust because it clearly tastes disgusting. Like they've drugged it and not done a good job covering it up.
Yeah, but it must have been like super drugged up because of what happens coming up, unless it's also in the water, which I don't know as well, because they do this like long shot of like the water and you're like, is it in the fucking water as well? I don't know, like are they doing something with the water? Is it just the pizza that does it?
Oh, I think that was meant to show that the like old lady upstairs was like using the bathroom, and that's why she could hear the pipes down there.
Oh yeah, you're right. God's sake, why am I so fucking dumb? I can't fucking think of anything that's clever. But you're right. Yeah, that makes sense. So so yeah, so you know, you're thinking, of course, like don't eat the pizza and stuff, but obviously she does, as you say, she's only a little bit. But then Samantha, she decides after she's had a little bit of this manky pizza, she decides to head back upstairs again, but this time without a knife, which is of course a mistake on her part. This time she comes across a shitload of hair in a bath in a proper, like, this is like a bit of like a giallo moment. I don't know if you think like the way that it's shot and it's like a little bit weird and stuff, and like the look on her face where she's like proper selling it, you know, and you've got this weird fucking hair. It looks like little wigs in a bath.
It's almost like giallo meets like Japanese horror because the hair is very Japanese to me.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So after being scared shitless by hair, Samantha, she heads up to the attic, and as she reaches for the handle, the lights go out, and now she's in absolute darkness with only some light exposed from under the door. This door, obviously, there's a little classic, like I mentioned, little horror trope where you get a little bit of a shadow underneath a door. And we know that there's something horrible behind there. But then suddenly, from the darkness, from the door, a creepy hand, it starts emerging. And now Samantha is feeling, in the words of Stu Macker, she's feeling woozy here.
Woozy, man!
I'm feeling woozy here. Which I'm assuming, of course, is due to this dodgy drugged pizza. And then she passes out. But then we get some quick flashes. Once again, this is classic Ty West stuff, because we go from a moment like that, we're building up, you know, this movie is where it's now really starting to build up the tension, the dread, the way that Ty West does really well. But we get some quick flashes on the screen of a blood red moon, and then, as I say, this is where it really kicks off Ty West style. With Samantha is now, as we come back into, you know, from the blood red moon and sort of darkness, Samantha is now tied to and gagged in the middle of a pentagram. You know, all the lights are flashing. It's going fucking wild. You know, you know, you've got to be careful if you've got epilepsy at this point, I suppose, because it's going fucking absolutely mental. You know, and guess who's bloody back? It's all the Satan family, but now this time they're hooded. We've got Tom Noonan, we've got the creepy wife, we got AJ Bowen, they're all there. And then, also, as well as that, some, which I didn't ever expect when I first saw this, some sort of demon face woman, which I'm sure, I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's a demon. I don't know. Or I don't know.
That's the grandmother, the mother she was supposed to be watching this whole time.
Yeah, that's right. So she's supposed to be, but is she a demon?
She's a witch.
Right. Okay. So, but she looks like a witch demon. Like she's got
her
a
teeth
crazy demon face.
Her teeth are sharpened, and they did prosthetics to her face because it's actually a rather young woman under there.
Yeah.
But and maybe that's a little bit of a TCM homage because they had like a 20-year-old and old man makeup for that.
Yes.
So I don't know, but Yeah, it's just she's just supposed to be like the archetypal creepy witch, just uglied up, but it's not. I don't. She's not supposed to be like unhuman. Just a,
Right, okay.
I don't
Maybe.
think
Well,
anyway.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's it. But yeah, so then she's come along. Obviously, this is, everything is ramped up to 11 at this point. She draws like a pentagram with blood on poor Samantha's stomach, and then she makes a drink. All this blood that's coming from like a skull from whatever that is, a ram or fucking whatever it is. And there's bloody absolutely everywhere. But luckily, Samantha, being the badass she is, she manages to break free. And then she scratches the demon woman, whatever. I've put demon woman because I was convinced she's a fucking demon woman. But then as well as that, Samantha ends up stabbing Tom Noonan and legs it. But then she gets caught by the horrible AJ, the son, AJ Bowen. But then she thumbs his eye out as well. Like she goes right for the thumb, and she's a fucking badass. And she continues to run away, but then she slips up on Greta Gerwig's faceless head body thing. But then she does get a knife, but unfortunately the bearded dude has a gun. So, we know what trumps that. And he shoots her, which once again is a moment I didn't expect it to happen, where he just comes around the corner, has a gun, and actually shoots her. Because I'm like, oh shit, is she dead? But she gets shot in the shoulder. But then she manages to sort of like get up, and she ends up slitting AJ Bowen's throat, which obviously he absolutely bloody deserves. Here, Samantha, she heads up to the attic with the old mother lady in pursuit. As Samantha as well, she's starting to like Satan convulse. As she's sort of going up the stairs, all this like this Satan blood that she's got in her, whatever it is all really sort of like starting her, convulsing, starting to make it very difficult for her to move and so on like that. And her stomach is now when she lifts up her top, she's getting those sort of black demon veins all over her and stuff like that. Shit is really fucking going like wild for her. Like she's not having a good time at all. She's obviously, she's fighting through the pain, and she still manages to stab the now wigless wife, because she ripped her hair off and she's got like no hair underneath as well. So, and it also reminds me a little bit of witches.
That's
That's
exactly
what
what
she
I was
said.
thinking. The roll doll.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so she reminds me of that. Once again, could be the case. But then Samantha, after basically fucking being a badass and killing everyone, um, Samantha she now needs to get the absolute fuck out of the house. And she's clever because she takes the gun. For once, somebody clever in a movie, she doesn't run past it, she takes the gun. And then she heads outside with Tom Noonan in pursuit. She heads to the graveyard to flee, but as the images in her head worsen and the clock about to strike 12 for the eclipse, she only has one choice, and that choice is to shoot herself, which fucking sucks, right? But guess what? What sucks even more is that it didn't work, and Samantha at the end of the movie is now in hospital, and the demon baby lives. Now, at the start of this episode, I said there was one thing that I didn't like about this movie. One very, very big thing that I didn't like about this movie. One thing that I'm really pissed off about, because it really would have been what should have happened. And this might be something that you disagree with, but I don't like the ending to this movie, because the impact of the ending of this movie, if she had killed herself and the movie ended, because what happens is obviously she puts the gun to her head, she shoots herself, Tom Noonan's like, oh no, she shoots herself, and then it cuts to black, and then after that we get that sort of like extra scene where she's in hospital and we find out she's alive and the baby's alive. I was genuinely absolutely gutted we got that extra moment, because the impact of her having to, this poor girl, this young girl having to kill herself, or being driven, mad enough by everything that's happening to kill herself. And, so then obviously, Tom Noonan and everything that they were trying to do, they don't win. And the fact that she would have killed herself at the end, and it just literally, she shoots herself and it cuts to black, which I thought was going to be the ending. I was just like, what a fucking ending. Like, that's amazing. Like, it literally would have been one of my favorite endings of all time. But then it goes too far, and then we find out they're both alive, and then the movie ends. I don't want that. I did not want that.
Okay. I have a few different feelings about it, personally.
Go on.
One, I think it's fun to just joke and pretend that this is a prequel to The Omen.
Right, okay.
That's fun for me, and that salvages the ending. But on the other hand, I think that, yes, that moment where she shoots herself is hugely impactful because it's like, shit, this is the only way I'm getting out of this because I'm impregnated by Satan's baby or whatever. Which I personally don't know that that necessarily would have been my thought. Because I think I would have just been like, all right, I think I honestly would have been, even after seeing that woman look like that, would have been like, well, these are just crazy people. Let's go to Planned Parenthood. But,
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't really know that she's got Satan inside of her. But also at the same time, all of like these images and everything that's going in her mind, it's like, you know,
I get
and
it, yeah. I'm sure it
it's
was a
just
lot.
it's one of those things that I just think that the impact of the ending would have been so much. Like I always think, once again, it always comes back to like iconography, right? And this movie
Sure.
has a lot of iconography in it, and I feel like for me the iconography of having that ending, bearing in mind this is also coming from somebody that loves a happy ending, and I'm somebody that like I'm not the biggest fan, and I know that you love the endings that like don't necessarily end that nice, but I like, as we are when we you know, with modern day horror where they're like most endings happen when everybody's dead or there's no hope. You know, I'm not a big fan of this sort of stuff. But sometimes there are movies where, like for example, we've spoken about it before. You know, where when we've had conversations, When Evil Lurks. When Evil Lurks is a masterpiece of a movie that every step of the way and to the end, it is a fucking tough, horrible movie where horrible things continue to happen and it ends horribly. But as I always say with When Evil Lurks, it earns the right to do that because of how well and structured and created that movie is, that I don't
Love that
mind
movie.
that. And it's so good. So if it earns it, I don't mind. But most of modern day horror, it gets to the end and it doesn't earn the right to try and make me feel like shit. Fuck off. It doesn't deserve it. So, but When Evil Lurks, it's fine. With this movie, if it had ended the way that I wanted it to, where unfortunately, Samantha dies, the iconography of that ending would have been like, it would have taken it to a higher level for me. It would have been the ending that so many more people were talking about, because they're like, this poor girl at the end, she had to go through everything she did, and she's so young, she's got all of her life left to live, but she has to kill herself because of what happens. That to me is the ending I wanted. So even though I love this movie so much and I genuinely think it's a masterpiece, and there's a few more things I want to say about it, but I will always, and my mate Steve, who I spoke about earlier, feels exactly the same way. We both have said that it should not have ended with that extra scene. For me personally, I would have. So now every time I watch this movie, when she shoots herself, I turn it off, and that's what I do. So I never watch that extra bit anymore, because I'm like, okay, that's how it ends to me, and that's the impact of that ending would have been greater if they just cut to black and didn't have anything more.
Okay. Valid. Absolutely. I agree that, like I said earlier, I agree that part's impactful for sure, but I like the 1-2 punch where you've got this like cathartic sort of like, oh, at least she's gonna escape the satanic baby, but her whole poor life, you're like devastated by that. But I like being kicked when I'm down, and that's what happens. Is you're like, oh shit. Especially like that. I think that scene is really effective where the nurse comes over and it's like, you and the little one are gonna be
Yeah,
fine. It's like, no! I
yeah,
love that. I
and
love that.
also the weird thing about that is that, like, theoretically, you're supposed to, like, in any other movie or a movie like this sort of thing, or even if it's a movie that's like this that's not horror, like that ending is supposed to be almost like a happy ending because she's alive. But it's not a happy ending
No.
because there's a Satan baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, so I get it. And if there are people out there that like, you know, do like that ending, then I get it. And I think it's, you know, but yeah, for me, I just, the impact and the iconography of the ending that it could have been, that's why I turn it off every single time. And I'm like, that's my ending.
Have we ever talked about The Descent before?
I think we probably have, but the ending of that is like wild because obviously there's like different endings depending where you are in the US or UK and so on.
Do you prefer the American ending then?
I do prefer. Sometimes you have to have a fucked up ending for it to work.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it makes sense. You know, like as I said, it's all about earning it. For me, every movie has to earn what it's trying to do and what it's trying to be. And that to me is like, it has to earn everything because otherwise, you know, there are so many movies, like whether it's movies, short films do this as well. When I get to the end of it and I go, number one is, was there a point to that? Now, I don't mean like, does it mean something? Does it mean this? Does it mean that? It has to mean something. What I mean by that is like, does it structurally have a start, middle, and end? And does it all work together organically? Does it all make that one piece? And does that whole one piece, that whole pie, is there a point to it? Is there a purpose of this movie being what it is? And the problem is like in so many modern day horror, every time I get to the end of the movie, I go, well, what was the point in that? Because there isn't a lot of the time, there's not really movies that have a lot of the time when like there's a point to that. And a lot of the movies that do have a point to it where I go, that was good, is because it earns the journey that you've been on and it earns to make you feel how you feel at the end of it.
Do you want to call a specific movie out?
Oh, like, I mean, there's a fucking million of them. I mean, there's a million. I'm not going to say any because it's just, there's so many of these sort of movies. As I said, especially in modern day horror, where it's just movies that just make me feel like I've watched something, but I'm like, well, there's a zillion other movies like this that earn it, and there's a point to that I could just watch rather than this movie. You know, every time I watch a movie, I want to be able to, I want to see that again. You know, like I want to love a movie. I want to be inspired by a movie, and I want to watch a movie again. But so very often now, I watch a movie and I go, do you know what? I don't want to see that again. Or I go, that was all right, but I don't ever need to see it again. And that's what happens with a lot of modern day horror. Whereas like a movie like House of the Devil is actually, it's like a comfort movie for me because of how much I love it. Because I love it, and I'll talk about this in a second as well. I love it on a technical journey that we're taking on aesthetically, which is a big part of this movie for me and my love for Ty West. But also, I love the journey we're taking on with this, you know, how well it's written, how well it's structured, how we're seeing the things that Samantha isn't, and how we know that the journey is going to get so fucked up for her, and she doesn't deserve it. And it's so sad that when these things keep happening to her, and then obviously it ends the way that it does. But because of the way that it looks, because of the way that it's structured, because of the way that it works, it is a movie that I always think about and always want to go back to. And it's a movie from 2009. And of course, there's movies from, you know, since the 60s, 70s and before that they're movies that I want to go back to. But modern day horror, no, there's not many movies that I'm like, I want to go back to it. And I think that that's a shame because I feel like horror is sort of like losing that a lot where there's movies that I want to go back to.
I think you just have to know where to look, personally.
Yeah, maybe some mumblecore or mumblegore, maybe.
I wouldn't even necessarily say that. Like, I really like everything that Damien McCarthy's doing and Demian Rugna. That's who did When Evil Lurks and Oddity. I think there's a lot of exciting filmmakers.
Yeah. I think you're right. There are a lot of exciting filmmakers. The problem is like, you don't want them to. I'm the type of person that, like, if he only makes a movie every 5 years, I'm happy. You know what I mean? But instead, what has sort of happened with Ty West is that, with him being like becoming more of a popularized director, he's now starting to like make more and more movies. And even though the movies are visually so different and stuff, there are some movies that like fall a little bit flat, fall a little bit different, and then you're like, oh, okay, it feels a little bit less Ty West. It feels a little bit more horror genre, horror movie, Hollywood horror than it should do, when it should be still trying to be Ty West being Ty West, because that's obviously what he does best. So,
are you talking about Maxine?
maybe. Maybe. But yeah, but anyway, but in regards, I mean, look, there's not really like much more to say, like in regards to it, because I mean, the things that really obviously stand out to me, one of the biggest thing, and one of the things that this movie made me fall in love with Ty West, made me be inspired by this movie, is the fact that I genuinely thought that this was a movie that was made in like the 80s or the 70s and I'd never seen before. I think to this day, I think that this is one of the best replications of, on a technical level, this is one of the best looking replications of an old school movie. I don't think there's many, if
100%.
yeah. I don't think, like, off the top of my head, I genuinely don't think there is better than this, that nails every single aspect of like looking like, say, like an early 80s sort of movie, you know,
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
like from the grain, from the fact that it's obviously shot on 16mm film, like the way that the film is shot, the way that it looks. You've got these crazy like zoom ins that they do a lot in the movie, which obviously they used to do a lot in, you know, 70s and 80s cinema, like early 80s and stuff.
Well,
You've got the score as well, like, you know, that haunting score.
absolutely. And the incredible set design of Judy Healy,
Exactly.
who, like, down to the set details, when you walk into, like, the kids' room, has, like, Masters of the Universe dolls in there, like, beautiful, intricate set design. Like,
Yeah, exactly. You've got like the way, you know, like the clothing. You've got, even when they're going to like that place, like the place where they go and get the pizza, the little pizzeria place. Even that place, you've got old Coca-Cola cups. Like this movie, like from head to toe, aesthetically, as I said, for me personally, is one of, if not the best modern day. And I know I'm saying modern day, but it's 2009. But for, you know, still to this day, for me, it's one of the best best movies that's replication of the movies of the past aesthetically. It is a truly stunning movie that when you watch it, it's so easily for you to be like confused that if you are watching a movie from 2009 or 1979 or 1981, you know what I mean? Like anybody that watches this movie and doesn't know that it's in 2009, you could so easily like fool them to say this was a lost gem from the 80s, you know?
I think the only reason that my partner realized that it was, like, not that is because he said it did look too crisp to him a bit.
Sometimes there are some moments that it does. There are some moments when you're like, oh, okay, like that's a little bit crisp and stuff, or like it might have been like the color grading where they you know, the 16mm side of it is like, sometimes obviously it's tough to work with, so they might have had to do some little things and stuff like that.
He's not
But
generous to films that haven't aged well.
oh, okay, fair enough.
so,
Yeah.
so he's like very, he could point that out like so easily.
Yeah, I could, yeah, but it just looks so good, this movie, and I love the way, and I love these like great shots that he's doing where like he showing everything. Like you've got, it's such a great, like, so basically what I'm trying to really sort of say is that this movie looks great, but Ty West is one of the modern day masters of technical filmmaking, because it's not just this movie, it is any movie that he's making. If you look at like, you know, his list of movies that he's made, of course, you know, we've got this, we've got after this he did the Innkeepers, which is obviously it doesn't have this sort of like 16mm look, it's more of a modern looking movie, but it's the way that that movie is made. The sound design in the Innkeepers is absolutely phenomenal. Like
the sound design is incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
And that might be the last nice thing I say about that movie.
Right, we'll move on for that because I love Innkeepers, but also, so we move on from that. But I love the sound design in Innkeepers is phenomenal. Of course, the Sacrament, another completely different movie. And of course, the first guest spot I ever did was on Horror versus Reality, talking about Sacrament, which is where we both knew, of each other's love for Ty West. But yeah, you can just keep going down on the list of movies that he's made, and you cannot. Every single one on a technical level is so different. Like aesthetically,
Totally.
they are so different. I mean, just take what are they calling it? The Maxine trilogy or whatever you've got. You've got X, you've got Pearl, you've got Maxine. All of them on an aesthetical, technical level are so vastly different.
Oh
And
yeah,
for
like
some,
X feels like Texas Chainsaw
yeah,
Massacre.
like old school grindhouse, yeah.
Yeah, and then Pearl feels like a 1940s Disney Technicolor.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then of course Maxine is just goes like sort of full 80s and so on, and but like not 80s like this. It's just
It
like
feels
it's
like
like
William Friedkin's like cruising like 1980s seediness, but like
yeah.
LA instead of New York.
Yeah, and it feels like the way that it's like presented is a lot more modern horror, like is
Yeah,
in like the way that it looks and stuff, which is a bit of a shame because you would have thought that he would have tried replicating a bit more like he did obviously with House of the Devil, but maybe he's like, I've done that, so like, I'll do something
probably,
different.
yeah.
But as I said, like so for me, as I said, and I've already said it, for me, Ty West is the person that one of the people, or maybe the person that I get excited the most about when I find out there's going to be a new Ty West movie, because I know that I'm going to be in safe hands most of the time when it comes to a movie that is like, if he's written it, it's going to be written well, it's going to be structured well, it's going to be put together well. But it's also for me, as somebody that obviously, of course, wants to make movies and so on, the technical journey that you're taking on, when you look at it from a filmmaker's perspective, you're like, Jesus, like how the fuck is he making movies that look like this? Like he is a master of technical filmmaking, and I love that, because then it makes you remember of people like Steven Spielberg, who, once again, he is another technical master of filmmaking. He's somebody that knows everything about the technical side of filmmaking and how it can work for you and what you're creating. And Ty West reminds me of that old school filmmaker, of those ones.
I've been like, I mean, I feel like he's one of those names that you hear a lot. Not talking about Ty West, different person, but like recently, I've been thinking a lot about the films of Robert Zemeckis,
Yes,
and
yeah,
like,
yeah.
man, Zemeckis really knows how to make a killer movie. Like the technical details that go into Forrest Gump are actually incredible, and I know a lot of
Yeah.
people don't think about that, but
No,
I'm
he's
getting
one of the,
sidetracked.
no, but like the problem is like it's the shadow of Spielberg is so big for so many of these people, like your Joe Dantes and your Zemeckis and stuff. Like the shadow of Spielberg. I mean, like literally to my right, I've got two posters, Back to the Future. The biggest name on it is Spielberg, because he's the reason it gets made. Of
But
course,
it's Zemeckis' film,
exactly. And then Gremlins as well is the same. Spielberg's name would be
Dante.
the biggest one on it, but it's Joe Dante. But it is,
Poltergeist
but what?
too.
Yeah, exactly. With Toby, or as I call him, Tobe Hooper. But, but that's the thing. You're exactly right. Unfortunately, Spielberg's shadow is obviously casts a big shadow on all these filmmakers. But you're exactly right. Like these people in their own right, are just great filmmakers. I mean, of course, Tobe Hooper. I've now said Tobe, but Toby Hooper made one of the greatest movies that's ever been made with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, they are great. But I really love Ty West. Like part of me hopes that there's a time when Ty West is like that big director that everyone sort of knows. But then at the same time, I don't want that, because I like the fact that Ty West is still that like niche, like Ty West is still like part of horror, and he's still part of like creating those horror movies where you still sort of don't necessarily know what to expect. You don't know what he's going to do. And I love that. That's what I love about Ty West. He's very unpredictable. His movies are very unpredictable, but he's also an unpredictable director as well. And I really like that.
That's true. His filmography is kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. And he did go off and make a Western, which I
I
have got,
love his
and it's
western.
pretty good. I
I
mean,
think
it's
it's pretty
okay.
good.
The only problem with that is that the fact that it didn't really have a budget hurts it, because they obviously put all the budget into paying, who was it, John fucking Travolta, and someone in that. So like, I think all the budget went into paying the cast, and it looks it looks very much so like it's like filmed on a set. That's the only problem with that movie.
I
And
agree.
then I'm like,
I
and
agree.
then you're like, but as a movie, it's a Ty West movie, so it's written well, it's performed well, and it's things. So if anybody's out there like, what, Ty West made a western? Yes, he did. I can't remember what it's called, but it's all right. Something violence, something Valley of Violence,
Something like that.
something like that. I was going to say History of Violence, but it's not that.
Nope. Cronenberg.
That's the that's the Cronenberg. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, the score, I've already mentioned it. I love this old school, incredibly haunting score throughout. I think once again it's used sparingly, but when you use it, like the opening score that we get when she's looking out the window, I'm just like in love with it. Like, it's just such a stunning score. Once again, it's like a thing where you're like, it's one of the things that you're like, oh shit, I don't normally talk about that as much, but then I'm like, I've got to talk about it because the score is just so good. As we already said, the main actress in it, which I've completely forgotten her name. What's her name?
Jocelyn Donahue.
That's it. She's, you said exactly rightly. One, yes, she reminds us both of Margot Kidder, and we're both absolutely right. But she's fantastic in this movie throughout the whole movie. She's got to carry the entirety of this movie, and she does it well. And also, she's technically a final girl, and she might have a demon inside of her, but she's technically sort of a final girl, even though she could be completely out of it. But she's fucking badass because she kills fucking everyone.
That's true. Dude, like, I think she reminds me, like, in her performance, it's got the, like, innocence of Laurie Strode
Yes.
to it.
Yeah.
And I really like that about it.
Yeah, exactly. And you just, it's once again, it's like the performance side of it and the way the movie is structured so well that she performs that you really like her and you don't want anything bad to happen to her. The problem is that you know that bad things are going to happen to her. And that is one of those things where that goes down to great performance for making you actually like this person, because once again, in modern day horror, there are so many characters. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about you. You can just die. Whereas with her, you're like, I don't want her to die. I feel so sorry for her that she's in this situation. But once again, that's down to having like a very good leading performance that makes you feel like that. If she was a dickhead, you're like, just get on with it. You know what I mean?
I do feel deeply sorry for her, and I feel for her having been a broke college student myself at one point. But at the same time, as previously mentioned, there are many times where I'm like, just take the money.
Yeah, but then the decisions that she makes are horror movie dumb mistakes. But at least she takes the gun. I will say that at least she takes
At
the
least
knife,
she takes
and
the
at least
gun.
she takes the gun. Although the gun is to shoot herself in the face. So
Also, Greta Gerwig, you could have lit your cigarette while driving. There was no need to pull over.
Yeah, absolutely. These are all like, we're getting into the weeds of like horror movie dumb tropes of stupid people in stupid.
How can you not though? That's like the fun part.
Well, that's the fun part of horror, isn't it? Seeing these dumb fuckers do stupid things and die because of it. But yeah, it's just a really good, well thought out movie. We'll get into the overall thoughts in a second. This is a movie, of course. It's still it's not an unknown movie, but it is a movie that I still don't really see out there that a lot of people talk about, which is once again one of the reasons, not just because we love this movie, but it's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it, because I hope it's one of those movies where you're like, oh, okay, I don't know about this movie and I need to see it. That's what I hope that it does for people. But it is one of those movies that I think people know about it, but you know about horror if you know about this movie.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like it's well known within the horror community, but if you're just like a general cinephile, you might not have seen it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would say to those people, and also I would say that this is the type of movie because of the way that it's like created on a technical journey as well, that I think it's a type of movie that even if you're somebody that's outside of the horror genre, like as long as you can deal with like blood and guts and that sort of stuff, like as long as you can deal with that, it is a very good movie for other people outside the genre to watch, because it's a real movie, if that makes sense. Like, it's really well made. It's really well made. It's really well put together and really well structured, and it works as a movie. It just so happens that really horrible things happen in it.
A lot of really horrible things, but it's a fun ride all the same.
Exactly, exactly. And then, of course, this being, our real, I would say this is our true introduction to Ty West. Cabin Fever 2 is what it is, but I wouldn't say that's our real introduction to Ty West. This
No.
movie is like, for me, like the Ty West, you're like, what a fucking filmmaker. I can't wait to see what he does next. And I couldn't. And then when Innkeepers came out, I was really excited about to see that as well. But anyway, there's not that much out there, as we said. So production info wise, there's really nothing apart from this was shot over a period of only 18 days. Which always is mad to me that they make full movies in like such a short space of time. Like a movie like this only was like 18 days. So that's wild to me that they create something like this in 18 days. The house.
I feel like it's even more wild that bigger budget things that have so much more crazy stuff are shot within like a month.
Yeah, it's mad. Like, I remember like when it was just like this movie took a year to make, like shooting, not just like pre-production when you're like movies used to take like 5 years. Now, like it's like this movie was a year-long process, and you're like, man, like it must be so thin. But when you're like, this took 18 days, and you're like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like, people making full fucking movies in 18 days. The only other ones I've got is that the house was infested with ladybugs, some of which can be seen in some of these shots in the movie. I suppose ladybugs is probably a lot better than, I don't know, maggots or something.
That's very common in this region. I only live like 6-ish hours from where this was shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was shot in Connecticut, and I'm in New York.
Ah, okay.
So, pretty close.
Pretty close. And then there's fucking ladybugs everywhere.
This happens all the time. Like, I house sit for people sometimes and pet sit, and there are houses that I have where there'll be ladybugs all over the windows. Like,
oh, really?
Like a scene out of the fucking Amityville.
And also, I didn't know this until quite recently. Ladybugs can bite.
Yeah.
And I didn't fucking know it. And I found out because a fucking ladybug bit me. And I was just like, what? And I was like, what the fuck has happened here? So, and then I looked it up, and I didn't know my whole life. I didn't know. I just thought they were like one of, really nice God's creatures, I guess. I don't know. But then the next thing I find out is that ladybugs can bite. So there we go, everyone. Be careful. Ladybugs can get you. As pretty as they are. I was going to say they're deadly. They're not deadly, but they will bite you.
It's also like very rare for them to bite. Like, that's
well, they fucking bit
common.
me, the motherfucker.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened for it to bite you. That's awful.
No, maybe I was like slagging it off while it was on my arm. Maybe, I don't know. And the only other thing that I put that I've got is Greta Gerwig's death scene was shot on her last day of filming. So where she got her face blown up, that was the last day of filming for her. But other than that, there's nothing really out and about this movie.
Just kidding. I live even closer than I thought. It's only like a 3-hour, 52-minute drive.
Oh, no way. You've got to go to, like, if you ever have a spare time, you should go and try and find the house and do like a filming location.
I mean, I totally could, actually.
Oh, there we go.
My friend Brittany's from Connecticut. I'm sure she'd like ride with me.
Well, there we go. Well, that's what you've got to do. I'd love to see that. Although it's just for me. I'm just basically saying for me.
I mean, it could be for me too.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. But very quickly, look, we've spoken of course everything that happens in the movie. Very quickly, we said it, but what are your overall thoughts on the House of the Devil? Oh, that's the only other bloody thing. I forgot about that because I remembered it. The only other fact that I've got. I don't even know if I write it down here because I had it in my memory and I was just like, do you know what? I don't even fucking know. But this movie, I haven't got the dates, but one of the movies that is commonly known as the first horror movie ever made was I think it was Italian or French possibly, but it had a different name, but it's translated to The House of the Devil.
Oh.
So that's why I think Ty West called this movie The House of the Devil, because originally the what is commonly known as the first horror movie ever made translated wise, is that the house of the devil.
Hmm.
So there we go. Anyway, overall thought.
Overall thought, despite me pointing out some things I've said, I do love this movie. Just my inner critic is going to still tell you things that I feel about it that are like not necessarily the highlights, but yeah, no, I still love it. I think all the performances are really great. I especially really love just like the like calm, like small moments in the movie, like the pizza scene. That's like
Yeah,
such a real conversation between friends. Like it's
yeah,
very believable.
yeah,
And Greta's
yeah.
great.
This,
I love her.
yeah, she's good in this, and obviously I didn't even know. I had no idea who she was, and it was only until like I was doing the casting like a while ago, a few years ago when I watched it before, and I had no idea who it was until I was like, oh, she made Barbie. And then obviously a lot of other movies as well, but obviously Barbie was a big bloody smash hit. So
There's
now
this
I'm
horror
guessing she can
movie.
probably do.
She can do anything at this point because she's gotten like
Yeah.
the Oscar or whatever. But no, I was gonna say there's a horror movie that she did really early in her career called Baghead.
Oh,
That's
I've heard of that.
that's like kind of fun. Give it a watch.
Yeah, I need to watch that. I have heard of that. So yeah, maybe I will. Is she? Did she make that, or is she in it, or
She's in it. I don't think she started
right?
really like making movies until she hooked up with Noah Baumbach, who's a director
Oh, okay.
himself. And yeah, I mean she might have been doing some stuff before. No, yeah, I think he was really the catalyst to help her get more into directing. But not to besmirch her by any way. Like she's a strong, independent woman that don't need no man.
No, she don't need no man. Yeah,
but
you're right.
but yeah, but he was helpful in that. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, she's good in this. You can't take that away from her, which is great.
she's fantastic in this.
Yeah, she is. I just, for me, I mean, there's not really much more I can say about it. I said right at the top of this episode, this is going to be one of those episodes where it is a love letter for me for this movie. This is a movie that is genuinely one of my faves. It is a movie that, as I said, introduced really us to Ty West, to the Ty West that we know that went forward. Not the Cabin Fever Ty West that came out the same year. As I said, if you haven't seen Cabin Fever, the one that he made, it's worth watching, but it's not Ty West that we know, from House of the Devil onwards. It's a very different type of movie. But what this movie showed me
He
was
actually shot Cabin Fever first.
first. That's right, yeah. But what this movie shows me, what House of the Devil shows me, is a truly talented filmmaker that from the first watch I fell in love with because of his technical prowess, of how well he managed to create a movie that fooled me and my friend into thinking that it was a movie that we had never seen from the past. But then it was like, shit, this is modern. This came out this was made now. Well, not now, but 2009.
And you
It
can
blew my
tell that if
mind.
you're really good at reading Roman numerals.
Oh, of course, because of the intro with the House of the Devil bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But it's a movie that, on a technical level, if you are a fan of technical cinema or you are somebody that's a filmmaker, it is a movie that can very easily inspire you because you're like, wow, what a fucking great technical journey you're on. But it's not just the technical journey, it is the concept, the idea, the story that we may have seen before. And of course, before it, they were in the 70s, late 60s and 70s, there was a lot of Satan movies, and cult movies and so on like that. So it's a bit of a throwback to that sort of style. But what Ty West did is that he takes these like the old school horror sensibilities of idea and concept, but he brought it into the modern day horror cinema with the way that he depicted or showed the deaths, like with Greta Gerwig, the instantaneous death that she gets, or seeing the blood and the guts, of the kids and the parents, on the pentagram and stuff like that, and how really bloody and violent. As we get further into this movie, it does a lot more than potentially what a lot of the movies, say, like in the 70s and so on did, in the early 80s and stuff. There was a lot of it, but it brought that technical look of those movies into the modern day telling of horror. And I love that. I love that from the second and the moment and the first time I watched this movie. And then even to this day, every time I watch it, even though I turn it off as she shoots herself and it turns to black, and that will always be the right ending for me. I love the journey we're on in this movie, but for like multiple reasons. And yeah, it's a fantastic movie. As I always say, like when I do these episodes, I assume that whoever's listening or watching, then you've seen it. But if you haven't ever seen House of the Devil, then you don't miss out on it anymore. Because yes, it's a slow movie, because Ty West does that best, but it's the impactful moments that you're like, fuck, didn't see that coming.
If you've never seen this, for funsies, have a double feature night, watch this first, and then watch the original Omen with Gregory Peck. It's fun. Pretend that they're sequels.
Yeah. And then also watch Black Christmas, because then you can be like, oh, she does remind you of Margot Kidder. Where we're right.
Yes,
Absolutely
we are
right.
100% right.
Absolutely. There we go. So obviously on the show, really quickly, I always have the segment Your First Time, which is where you send me over your first time horror movie memories. I don't know if I've had you on the show since I've done a little bit different with repeat guests. So what I always do, I think I probably have anyway, but anybody that's been on the show before, what I always do now is I always ask my guests for a very quick recommendation. So I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to give you a little bit time to think of a recommendation to give to everyone.
Okay.
Just a very, very sort of quick recommendation. But this one, this first time horror movie memory was sent over to me from the Spooky Shed podcast over on Instagram at the Spooky Shed podcast. They put that I was about 11 or 12 years old, and I was looking through the TV mag, and I'd seen 2 a.m. in the morning film A Nightmare on Elm Street. I asked my dad what it was about, and he told me. So I stayed awake and watched it. I didn't go to sleep afterwards or for the rest of the week. But that's where my love of horror movies started, and why A Nightmare on Elm Street is still my favourite horror movie. And as we know, if you've listened or watched these episodes before, Nightmare on Elm Street is the one that's come up more than any other movie.
If you look at the background there, I have Elm Street with claw marks.
That's
And
it.
that painting right there, it looks like an expressionist painting of Paris, but the figure right in the center, you can't tell, but it's Freddy.
Oh, right,
Painted
there we
in
go.
watercolor, all nice. So.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Right. If that was enough time. Oh, well, thank you. Anyway, Spooky Shed podcast. Thank you for that. Everybody obviously go and support everything they do as well. Thank you for sending that over. With this segment, I always do say at the moment is that I'm not getting that many sent over to me, which is a shame, because there's been a few episodes where I haven't been able to do them recently. And that makes me sad, because of course, I like to share them on with you, but also the reason I started the segment is because I genuinely love reading where your journey started in horror. So please send them over to me, and then I can read them out. I can read them for myself and go, bloody love it. But also, I get to read them out for everyone. So send them over to me on any of the socials. If you can do it on Instagram, that's easier. Just send me a DM, whatever it is. Don't comment or anything. It's a pain in the ass. Just DM me your first time horror movie memory in detail, like the Spooky Shed podcast did, and then I'll add it in. Anastasia, a really quick, if you've got one, recommendation.
My recommendation is, if you've never seen it, to go back and watch David Lynch's Mulholland Drive. Is it confusing? Yes. Is it fantastic? Yes. Is it genius? Yes. Do you see Naomi Watts' tits? Yes.
Yes.
So give it a go. We're doing over at What in the Wide World of Cinema. We are gearing up to do a David Lynch series. So
Well, there we go. Well, that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
That'll be super exciting. And yeah, so that's it. So everybody go and watch all the David Lynch stuff, and then you can get ready for that. And then you can go and listen to What in the Wide World of Cinema when you have your David Lynch episodes, and then you'll be all ready for it.
Yes.
So there we go. Well, that's a good little thing. I mean, that's also a good segue into everything that you do, because now is your time to promote everything that you do and anything that you want to promote.
Okay, well, speaking of WITWWOC, my abbreviation for What in the Wide World of Cinema. Speaking of that, our latest episode is on the Greasy Strangler. And it is my mission and goal in life to get Michael St. Michael's on my podcast. So join me in that journey. He's the guy who plays the Greasy Strangler. I'm like in love with him. Not in a romantic way, but just like I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's very greasy.
Well, he is, and he's also just got a fascinating life. He was like John Travolta's hairstylist in the 70s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man, he's awesome. I'm really
Yeah.
pumped about I don't know. I like want a biography on him. Anyway, one day. But anyway, over at Horror versus Reality, we just that's my show about it's a true crime podcast about horror movies that are based on true crime. And sometimes they're horror movies based on like tragedies or stuff. But anyway, we're talking about the Noida double murders. This week's episode. It is a terrible crime that happened in India, and the movie rather, is called Rahasaya, and it's like an Agatha Christie mystery, but it's still got a little bit of Bollywood flavor. It's fun.
And based on something unfortunately real.
Yes, the movie's fun, but unfortunately loosely based on the terrible murder. That's the bummer side.
But the bloody
to
episode will be fun.
Yes, yeah. And we've got a really fun episode on a classic horror film coming up soon.
Nice.
2 classics actually, but 2 very different classics. One is by a legendary film. Well, they're both legendary. You know what? I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's it. Hold everybody in suspense.
And then over on Attack of the Killer Objects, my self-explanatory, it's a podcast about killer object movies, and we just have fun over there. We literally just go through the movie, and then we talk about our favorite kills, and we don't like pick it apart or analyze it. We're just knocking back and just hanging out, really. But yeah, over there, the most current episode is on Return of the Killer Tomatoes with the Family Frights podcast, and it's a good time. And then the newest episode that's coming up is about killer hair extensions.
No.
It's Japanese. It's so fun.
That's it. Well, yeah. But I mean, you know, with everything, Anastasia's been on the show a lot now, on bloody loads of episodes, and then obviously I've been lucky enough to join you on your many shows as well, talking about lots of different things.
Yeah,
as well.
I gotta get you back.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, look, listen. You know that I'm always there when you need me for episodes and stuff, because I always bloody have fun talking with you about movies, because as we know, you know, we like to get into the nitty gritty about these movies as well, but also it's about finding the fun in these movies as well, and that's what I think I really love about these conversations. Is we always find the fun in it, whether it's a movie that's like good or whether it's like not so good, like Society, but we still find I get loads of people sending me like messages now saying, what, Society? Yeah, it's all right, but it's fucking weird. But we always, I feel like what I love is the variety of movies that we always talk about, you know, and that's because on my show and then your shows and stuff as well, there's so many different, I mean, your millions of shows, there's different movies to talk about and so on. But everybody, of course, I know that you are already, but if you are not, which you are already, but as I'm saying, if you're not, make sure you go and check out everything that Anastasia does on her zillion podcasts.
And the best way to find all that now is to go to objectsofcinema.com. That is my podcast network that hosts all of my podcasts. And the website has like the RSS feed, and it has our merch store. So like buy a t-shirt or like check out our latest episode. It's all there.
It's all in one bloody place. What more could anybody want?
Right? Something that you can remember. Objectsofcinema.com.
I felt like I was doing an advert then.
We kind of are.
You can find it here, all in one place.
Absolutely. Objectsofcinema.com.
I need to get myself a website one day. but I'm not clever enough. It's too fucking difficult. But there we go. So everybody make sure that you go and enjoy everything that Anastasia does. But in regards to Let's Talk Horror, of course, I always like to close out the show saying a massive thank you to my honorary creepazoids over on Patreon. Of course, we got Jamie, we got Rob, we got Leighton, and we have Kate. These are the people that are going above and beyond to motivate me and support me on my journey through horror. As I always say, I make about like a coffee's worth of money through this after they take all bloody conversion rates and take a quid off a fucking PayPal and all that sort of stuff. But it's not about that. It's about the community that we're making over on Patreon with Let's Talk Horror and the Creepazoids. If you ever thought, I really would like him to talk about this movie, well, guess what? I do that because on Patreon I do the Creep's Choice episodes, which is where my Creepazoids, they pick me a movie and I review that movie. Now, so far, every movie, and do you know what? I always say this, maybe by the time this episode comes out, it's changed, but every movie they've given me so far have been shit. So basically, yeah, you can listen to me talk on like lovingly about a movie like House of the Devil, but my Creep's Choice episodes are basically me talking about how shit some of the movies are that they've given me. But I know they're not doing it on purpose. Maybe some of them, but it's really good fun. I enjoy doing the episodes. So if you want to, and of course, you get loads of exclusive stuff with Patreon. But also, it's about building a community for this horror community, a place for everybody to go to talk about horror, and it's good fun. So you can go to patreon.com, find out a little bit more if you want to. I think it's like £2 a month, and you get like loads of cool shit. And also, as I said, it's about you motivating me and supporting me on my journey, because I don't get paid for this. I don't have sponsors or anybody, same as Anastasia. We don't have like sponsors. We don't people have helping us with merch and all that sort of stuff. Any money we put into it is our money. So if you want to help out, you can. You don't have to, but Patreon is cool because you get loads of exclusive shit as well, like Creep's Choice episodes where I slag movies off, and I don't like doing it, but I'll fucking do it if I have to. If they send me shit movies, then I will. So simple as that. But there we go. That's the episode. I love House of the Devil. I fucking love it. I love Ty West. One day, if I ever meet him, I'd love to give him a little hug and say thanks for making brilliant movies. And can I be in the corner on set with you one day, and I'll fucking learn a shitload maybe. That would be nice. But then he'd probably just tell me to fuck off. But oh well. But Ty West, he's great, and I like what he's done. But Anastasia, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say, BP. One day, if I ever start writing for not an independent place, which is all I've done mostly, if I ever start writing for like Fangoria or something, if I ever get an on-set visit, I'll see if I can get you a +1.
Absolutely. You get me a +1, and that's it. And then I have a word with him, and I can tell him that ladybirds bite. So there we go.
But not Greta Gerwig.
Not Greta Gerwig, no.
Because, she has that movie called Lady Bird.
Oh, blimey. It's all connected. There we go. That's it. But there we go. But Anastasia, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking with me. I love having you on the show.
Always a pleasure.
And then for everybody else, just go and support our journeys. Not just ours, but anybody out there that you enjoy what they put out. Go and support them. Go and enjoy everything we all do. This horror community is great. And we are a part of that as well. And we love this horror community, and keep supporting everything that we do, and keep on enjoying horror, and keep on supporting horror and anybody creating stuff for horror that you can. But for everybody else, until next time, stay creepy, fuckers.